WNST, Towson, Baltimore, and Baltimore Positive. We are positively back from Super Bowl madness. We've been discussing a whole lot of whether we're going to have a baseball season or not. Certainly going to be a football season around here. And obviously the situation over in Europe and other things. But what's happening here? Food is happening here, and our wise conversations continue here. It's been a little while since we've had this guy on. Usually he's my my special guest when I'm traversing the state to give me history lessons about Antietam and things on the Eastern Shore. I hope to get him back when we continue the Maryland Crab Cake Tour. By the way, we're back out on March 4th. We're going to be at Mama's on the Half Shell down in Canton, all brought to you by the Maryland Lottery. Dennis Curtin joins us here from Weis Markets. He is the Director of Public Relations, and this is going to be a fascinating segment because I don't know that everybody loves talking about inflation or prices going up, and certainly when the world is aware of this. If you go shopping, you've been to Weis Markets, you've been anywhere, pumping gas, doing whatever you're doing. Prices have gone up here a little bit. How are you? They give you the tough assignments to come on here and talk about things, right?
Yeah, it's not all bad news. And one of the things that I try to remind people of, we're talking about supply chain issues and all that, but the central fact remains that when you go into an American supermarket, particularly a Weis Market store, there's plenty of food to buy. And if you're a little more strategic, we can help you save money. I mean, we can't change the world, but we can help you save money. And we have resourceful, clever people. If plan A doesn't work, they go to plan B, to plan C. We're pretty good at, filling gaps, but there's no denying that last 2 years, as a result of the pandemic, a lot of things have changed.
I'm not going to lie. One time I went in, there was no toilet paper, but that was at the very, very beginning. But the last 6 months, the freak out of before Thanksgiving, and I think the last time I had you on was like in October. And everybody was freaked about it. We're going to have a turkey and you said, we'll have turkeys. And sure enough, we had a lot of this has been, I don't want to call it media because I hate that because I'm a member of the media and I get thrown into that. But the fact that the warnings were there, we saw the trucks out in the middle of, off of Long Beach that couldn't get here with various things. Tell us how your operation runs, because I know you run out of Sunbury. And listen, I'm a Weis consumer. I'm in your stores all the time, and I see things that are very obviously packaged somewhere else. Like a smaller store over Maiden Choice Lane doesn't have like the whole big meat area, although I did talk to the butcher and he brought me out special garlic pepper chicken breast last year. But you do pre-packaging of certain, I think, pastries, meats, different things, and but not all stores do it the way you do it. And I will say this, for all the complaints that I saw back around the holidays and pictures of empty supermarkets, even in our area, your supermarkets were not empty. And I was taking pictures of the produce, taking pictures of stuff. How does it happen?
Somebody took a picture of the cat food section in one of our stores, and wet cat food is in high demand, and there are some production issues. But other than that, we were really well stocked over the holidays. We like to think of ourselves as like when it's Thanksgiving and Christmas, just like in a football game when it's like 27-24 and a team really kicks it into gear to win a game in the fourth quarter. During the holidays, we're at our best. We control our own fate in the sense that we have our own distribution center. We have our own trucks. We have about 1,000 associates who are in our supply chain. And that independence, that gives us flexibility and resourcefulness. And just as a result of the last 2 years and the surge in demand, as it shifted to supermarkets, our distribution center, our associates, I mean, there was a 20-30% increase in weekly shipments. More than
keeping everybody safe and healthy there must have been really crucial, right? Like
it was
at that point.
It really was in the sense that if there was a problem, and we've seen it all across the country, if there's an outbreak or something like that, it stops you in your tracks. We have been fortunate. Yes, just like anybody else, we've had people who've come down with COVID, but by and large, we worked hard to keep people safe and to keep our stores supplied. And we've adjusted to what consumers want. You mentioned the pre-packed thing, the pre-packed issue, and let me give you a couple of examples. Number one, today in terms of delis, customers want to grab and go. We've seen enormous growth in take and heat meals, or fully cooked meals.
I'm home alone the next 2 weeks. My wife's in New Hampshire, up with her family, doing all the cold snow stuff. And the meatloaf, the cabbage
Yeah,
roll. I see all of that. The soups. You had soups on sale last week as well. So I see those easy grab, especially when it's cold out. It's February. It's freezing out. You just want to grab
yeah,
something and eat.
and number one, we've expanded the variety there. Number two, we're putting in different casing, like meal centers or multi-deck coolers, so that people can see them and grab them. Also, we have a pre-slice program for cold cuts, for high-demand cold cuts and cheeses, where people just go to the mobile merchandiser. It's refrigerated, and they grab their turkey or ham or American cheese, and they're off to the races. And another great example, and one that we sort of plant our quality flag on, is our cut fruit. We cut all our fruit in store. If you go to most other places and you see cut fruit, it's been cut and packed somewhere else, and it's good product. I'm not going to
And
put
that
it
adds
down.
3 days to it to some
Yeah,
degree, the freshness quality of a piece of
I'm not going
pineapple.
to put it down because I've had it and I've been fine with it. But if you have our cut fruit, you'll know the difference. I mean, it's been cut that day, and you say, well, what's going on? Consider a pineapple. There's a pineapple that's at peak ripeness in our produce department. You can either write it out and see if somebody buys it that night, or you can take it back and cut it, and then and sell it as cut fruit. And it's at perfect ripeness, and it moves very, very quickly. So there's no worries about it going out of code or going bad or anything like that. And it's a real difference maker. And every year, we see more and more people embracing it. It's convenience. I mean, there are a lot of people who have taken up cooking during the pandemic, and that's a great trend. But there are a lot of people who just want to, get something quick, heat it up, or just pop it open and eat it. And we're there for that customer. We're really there for that customer.
People are just used to me promoting the ice cream and then leaving it at that. So Dennis Curtin is here from Weis Markets. We're having a wise conversation. So I want to understand more about supply chain issues, and not just inflation. I mean, inflation is if you're paying your employees more and the farmer's paying his employees more, and the shipping and the gas costs more. I think we can all sort of do the math on that.
Yes.
But trying to hold prices down. I mean, you guys have all sorts of. I mean, I use my rewards card when I come in. You
Mhm.
get rewards card for gas, as well as I got a free ham at Christmas time. You're trying to do different things, but the inflation part affects everybody. And when somebody comes in and says, "How much is milk? How much is bread? How much are eggs?" is sort of basic items, or meat. And people are going crazy about beef last summer as well. Chicken wings right now, like it's amazing, right? The cost of chicken wings, but for you and trying to hold things down when you have these kinds of meetings to say, hey, we can't have people shop elsewhere and price them out, right? And I think a lot of
Right.
places are worried about that.
Well, a couple of things. Number one, we have various pricing programs. The big one is our low price program, where we have 6,000 to 7,000 Wise brand grocery products on sale, at the everyday lowest price in the market. And even if there's inflation affecting a product here and there, we're starting from a low base. So, I mean, we're still managing it so that to keep the cost as low as we can. I mean, and I think that's an important message to emphasize. We can't, you and I, like inflation is a macro issue, but we can do things sometimes we absorb a little bit of it. Or if we start from a lower base and we have to edge up, we're still going to be the lowest in the market. And that's our goal. We extended it to produce, 60, 70 high demand items, and people embrace it. I mean, we saw a lot of great sales, a lot of people saying, hey, those are good prices. And ultimately, this in your line of work, and it's true with us, people vote with their dollars.
They do. Dennis Curtin is here from Wise. Remind me, I don't have any strawberries or blueberries or fruit right now, so I got to get over to Rob Santoni. I've been cheating on Rob. Rob's store 206. I moved to like closer to a different store, the Towson store. So I've been taking pictures of how good the produce looks there, and the produce manager over at Towson gave me a shout out. So I want to make sure I say hello back. For you, and I guess springtime and getting into summer and all that, I'm starting to think about a tomato garden now and all of that.
Yeah. Yeah.
when you start to think ahead, because I've been with Wise almost 2 years now, and I see how far ahead you start to plan promotions. I mean, the Valentine's Day promotion, as an example, 2 weeks ago, I said, well, I'll be away for Valentine's Day. Rare, because the Super Bowl was Valentine's weekend,
Right.
right? And y'all wanted me to get the chocolate covered strawberries, and I'm like, well, I'm in California. My wife went, and we tried to go early, and they're like, no, no, no. The big strawberries don't come in until like the 9th or the 10th, and you have
Right.
like special giant strawberries. And I'm like, how do they plan this stuff? But the strawberries were delicious. I had the dark chocolate, the white chocolate, all of that. But the planning game for getting food, and I guess we all realized when the plague happened and the toilet paper went away, and all of the bacteria products went away. We're
Right.
like, this is a real thing. Supply chain issues, and seeing it, it's something that you've always, there's always supply chain issues, right? There always have been, but it's out in front of people now that things might be missing.
Well, here's what we're seeing, and it's another supermarket company. Their executive uh, described it as, in terms of out of stocks, as sort of whack-a-mole. We call it sporadic inconsistency. What happens is that it's, does the supplier, I mean, do they have enough people in their plant to produce the product? I was talking to one of our produce guys earlier today, and he said, there's plenty of produce being grown. Where the rubber hits the road is, do they have enough people to package it? Do they have enough people to load the ships or the trucks? Do they have enough people to drive the trucks? And every step of the way, that's fraught with, I'm not saying peril, but there's vulnerabilities there because of,
Well,
if
if it
there's
takes
COVID.
humanity to pick the fruit or pick the vegetable or herd the cattle, whatever it is, right? If you don't have people to trucks, right? If you don't have a truck
Right.
driver, and if you don't have people to pick it, it rots in the field. And these were all thoughts that over the last 2 years, I think most Americans have become aware of this issue.
It is. A good example is Chilean stone fruit and grapes and cherries. Chile is known for high quality produce in the winter. A couple of weeks ago, uh, we were not getting what we wanted. And the simple reason was they had a great crop, but they were having trouble at the dock packaging and loading it on the ships. Now, fast forward to today, there's still some issues, but we're getting a lot more product and we're working through it. And I think that's what I would say, just in general. The food retail industry, my company in particular, we're pretty good at working through things. Um, Orange juice has been a touchy stop and go kind of, it's out. So we've gone to secondary brands. One of the ones that we stock now is Donald Duck orange juice, which I believe is a staple in the Baltimore area.
Was in every bar I was ever in as a kid. When I was 21 years old, if you wanted, you got Donald Duck grapefruit juice or orange juice in your drink for sure.
Yeah, and
Now
so
everybody's an Orange Crush guy around here,
it's that kind of creativity that our procurement teams, our supply chain teams have done, and they've succeeded more often than not. I mean, we have stayed in stock. Yes, there have been challenges, but day in, day out, you go in a Weis Market store, we're about as well stocked as anybody. In the initial weeks of the pandemic, when there were paper shortages, we hustled to get other suppliers from other parts of the world for paper towels and bath tissue, and we worked our way through it. I mean, today paper products are fine, but again, turning to meat. Beef and pork is coming around. There's a reasonable supply of that. Poultry's a little tighter. And the issue is that, production is impacted by the pandemic. I mean, it's a brave new world now.
Not out of ice cream though, right? Got plenty of ice cream?
No, ice cream is, we make our Wise quality ice cream. There's good social distancing there. We make more than 60 flavors, and we've been doing just great with that in our milk. And we
You've been
have,
threatening me a tour. Now, the minute we open up there, I'm coming up to Hershey. I want to see a show. I'm going to stop up the road, and I want to see the
yeah,
ice cream plant.
the ice cream plant is fun. And one of the things that's really great is when you're in the plant and get a tour, they just take a carton off the line. and it's almost like a Dairy Queen soft custard consistency
Ooh.
before it goes into the hardening room where they freeze it into the ice cream that you and I eat.
Reminds me like Willy Wonka, the juicing
Yeah.
room. It's over there. Dennis Curtin is here. He is from Weis Markets. He does PR for them. We have great wise conversations around here about all sorts of. All right, so like off the beaten track here, I'm starting the crab cake tour again, presented by the Maryland Lottery. We're going to be letting ourselves play beginning on March 4th. We're going back to Canton. I'm putting together a whole series of things. I'm going to do August again, and I'm going to go all over the state. Is there any place I need to see in Maryland I haven't? I have to ask you this because I asked you last year and you gave me a whole whirlwind of things about Antietam and out west that I didn't spend enough time in the places that I didn't know well enough. I went to Ocean City twice because I know Ocean City.
Mhm.
I didn't know much about Blackwater. I need to go back and do Harriet Tubman and the trail over there.
Sure.
Western Maryland is a mystery to me, right? Like I have really never been past Cumberland. I had never been to Cumberland. When we got to Swallow Falls, it's the first time I've had you on since I did the tour. And when
Okay.
we got to Deep Creek and Oakland, we said, well, we have to spend more time here next time,
It's
and
beautiful country, isn't it?
when you're in a place and you're like, I got to come back here. And
Yeah.
I felt that way about Buenos Aires. You know what I mean? I felt that way about Tokyo. This is 3 hours away. This is like you could get in the
Yeah.
car right now and drive out there and experience it. I'm going to be doing it again, so I'm going to be asking folks for the next 6 months before August of anything I missed last time around that I need to take a little more seriously this time around.
Well, I mean, we talked about Cumberland, which is, I think they're seeing more tourism from the biking, hiking crowd because I think the towpath goes through there.
It does. And by the way, there's also a beautiful train that it was on my bucket list. There's a B&O railroad experience where you go from Cumberland to Frostburg on a slow
Yes.
train. And I did it last year. I had seen it on MPT, and it was just one of those things I saw 20 years ago. And I'm like, if I ever go out there, I'm going to do that. And it just stuck in my crawl. It still exists. It's really inexpensive. And it was beyond lovely. And it was a perfect day, and the windows are open, and the breeze comes in, and the choo-choo. I mean, something to take your kids, something to take your mother, something to take anybody would love that trip. And so that's one thing I'm giving to you when you go out to Cumberland.
Okay. And I haven't been there in a couple of years, and Frostburg has a nice little downtown. I'm racking my brains trying to remember if there were any crab cakes, but
It was 110 degrees in downtown Frostburg the day I was there in August. That's all we remember, that there was no shade, and it's a lot higher up than you think. Like
yes,
they take you up the hill and they let you off the train, and then you got to walk straight up the hill to get to
yes.
Frostburg. So yeah, you got to bring your walking shoes. You're going to go to Western Maryland for sure. But there's also Weis Market out there. I visited. I got some coconut water because it was 110 degrees and I needed to out
Absolutely.
there. The thing that I noticed out there in talking to folks is they feel like people from Baltimore like they've never been there, and I'm the idiot saying, yeah, I'm that guy. I'm the guy from Baltimore that's making my debut at 53 here, right? So I do
Yeah.
think it's something that needs to have more of a spot. Like Rocky Gap, I stopped literally just to go to the bathroom at Rocky. I mean, I pulled in
Yeah.
and I looked at and I'm like, well,
Wow.
how do I not spend time here? This place is unbelievably beautiful. And all I did was go to the bathroom and I left. Turns out the chef, you ask about crab cakes, the chef from Rocky Gap wrote to me and said, I saw you post a picture. You didn't come in for a crab cake. So now I have to go back and get a crab cake at Rocky. That's the one stop on my tour in August. I have to go back because it was so beautiful that I didn't stay. And we saw so many of those kind of places that were like, hey, we got to stick around here. So this time around, I'm trying to get, let's see, it's February. I'm getting a 6-month advance on it then.
Well, here's a we opened a store in Havre de Grace longer than I care to remember, a while back. And I remember we went to a restaurant that was literally on the Chesapeake. And as you know, Havre de Grace is where the Susquehanna uh, links up with the bay. And if you look at Weis Markets, I mean, our stores dot the Susquehanna River Basin. And so I remember eating crab cakes thinking, boy, the Susquehanna dumps in here is really nice. I have no idea if it's still there. I might have been there maybe 5 years ago.
I can tell you that it is, but the place was dark during the pandemic when I went, and I wound up eating it. I ate at an Irish restaurant at the top of the hill. I'm going to find it. And downtown Havre de Grace is another place that I had never been in my life. I've been by it
Mhm.
10,000 times, going to Delaware, going to Philadelphia. And I said this as well earlier in the year. Easton, Cambridge, Salisbury. We've all driven through them 1,000 times on 50. And I challenge people, unless you're a hunter, unless you have family or you had a reason, if you're going to Ocean City, you don't stop the car to do anything other than go to the bathroom or go through a drive-through, pay the tolls. You're already sitting in traffic as it is. And there's so much wonderment just off the road, especially to the south of 50. If you're talking about going down toward any of the islands, if you
Sure.
go over towards St. Michael's and take the curve
Hmm.
toward Tillman, any of these undiscovered places that you just miss on a freeway going to Ocean City, because most people in my lifetime, you go on the freeway, or even if you're a skier and you're going out to Whisper or whatever, you just go
Hmm.
and you don't get off the road. The whole notion of this was to get off the road. And I've said it again, and it's been a long time. It's been a couple of months since Maryland's so beautiful. And I couldn't
Yes.
believe that we picked August, because it was more beautiful than in August than I think it would have been in any other month, because it was so grown out.
I was coming back from Washington, D.C., and I was going up 270, just hit right around Frederick, and I saw a sign for Starbucks. So I got off, couldn't find the Starbucks. I said, okay, I'll drive to the next exit, the back roads. And it was all these sweeping hills, rolling hills. I'm saying, where's the exit? Where am I going? By the time I got back to Route 15, I'd bypassed Frederick. I'd bypassed Thurmont and Emmitsburg.
You're in Tanny
No, I was
Town,
at the
or
Pennsylvania-Maryland line right below Gettysburg.
Emmitsburg, like somewhere out there,
Yeah,
right?
above
Yeah.
Emmitsburg. And I'm like, it's a beautiful drive. And that's one of the things. Weis Markets is located all over the place, in bigger areas, metro areas like Baltimore, but we serve smaller towns like Havre de Grace, Wellsboro, Pennsylvania, which is home to the Pennsylvania Grand Canyon. And I'm not sure it's the Grand Canyon, but it's a beautiful place. And
Whoa,
that,
where's this? I've never heard of. Hold on, this is where it took me 20 minutes, but I'm learning something. Hold on, I'm googling this. I got it up. I always have to have Google
Wellsboro,
open.
PA.
Wellsboro, PA. All right, hold on here. I'm going to check this out. The Grand Canyon of Pennsylvania. Wow,
Pennsylvania Grand
that's up
Canyon.
north. That's up toward Corning.
Oh
Wow.
yeah,
Okay.
it's part of the Elmira Media Market.
So I have driven up 15. I had a girlfriend in Buffalo for 30 years ago. I used to drive 15 out of Williamsport up toward Corning, and then I
Sure.
would go out toward. She went to Geneseo State, so I've been near there. I've been through Mansfield and Tioga, Wellsboro. Okay,
Tioga.
Tioga. What did I call it?
Yoga.
No, I called it Tioga. Tioga. No, Tioga.
You say Tioga, I say
Tioga.
Tioga.
Tioga. I'm sorry. I'm trying to get my pronunciations right. All right, so this we're learning with Dennis from
Yeah.
Weis Markets here. So this Grand Canyon, well, tell me about this.
It's a big striking canyon with a little creek going through. I'm not I forget the name of the creek,
I'll
but there are a
find it.
lot of state parks there, and it's a great hiking trail. It's a great hiking area. They have arts festivals and whatnot, and it's the next town over from Mansfield, which has a university there. So I mean, there's some critical mass there in terms of activity. But it's
If
a
I'm ever
beautiful
going to
place.
Ithaca or Rochester, I'm stopping by. All right, I'm going to add that to my list. Dennis Curtin is here. Tell everybody what you do for Weis Markets, because doing public relations, it sounds like a cushy gig, but then sometimes things go wrong, and then the phone rings in the morning. You get stuck talking to a guy like me about the Grand Canyon of Pennsylvania.
That's not such a bad thing. I help my company put its best foot forward. And you've been in the media business, if not as long as I have been, perhaps even longer, and you know how much it's changed. But there are still things about delivering your message, conveying what you stand for. And I work with a lot of people who do that, and I'm just happy to be part of that.
Hey, I'm happy to be a part of what you guys do at Weis Markets. I'll be out shopping because I'm out of blueberries and strawberries, and
Okay.
my wife's out of town for a week, so I got to go, work to pick it up and bring it home and do all that stuff. We appreciate Weis Markets for sponsoring all the things that we do around here. We're gonna get the Maryland Crab Cake Tour back out on the road. Gonna have the $6 signature crab cake this summer as well.
Yes.
I'm gonna be working on some subs over there with Rob Santoni as well. We're getting back out onto the road. Appreciate our friends at Weis Markets. We're getting back out to all things Ravens as well. We got the the free agency coming up. Eric DeCosta is going to be speaking soon. There's going to be a draft and a combine. We're doing all that. I know one thing, there won't be baseball anytime soon, but that's another story altogether. I am Nestor. We are WNST, AM 1570 Towson, Baltimore. And we never stop telling those wise tales and talking Baltimore positive.